Hey, everybody. We got one more episode this week, and this is a jam packed one. We all have watched slash listened to everything together, so we should have plenty of opinions back and forth. I will start with Severance episode 5. Last episode, you had some problems with them not addressing anything with Mark, which they changed quite a bit in this episode because this episode is all about Mark. I like where they're going with the story. I think it's interesting. I think they did a good job of showing the cult like vibes in this one with the what is his name? Milky, whatever the hell his name is. Um
Milchek.
and Milchek, yeah. With Milchek, and his performance review was very cultish, and they did a good job of making you feel the cult like aspects of it. And Mark going through the very end of the episode where he's like cutting back and forth and he has that voice speaking in his head and it's his wife, and how that connects with anything I don't know. And he seems to have some kind of breakthrough with the numbers, which is also really interesting. It's I don't know. I liked this episode. It was very interesting to me.
Okay. How does it rate for you in terms of season 2 so far?
Um
As good as the first two episodes, as good as the third episode, as good as the forest episode, better
for
than some of those? Where are you at?
me it's probably, I think it's tied with the second episode, which has been my favorite episode of the show so far.
Okay, so you
Favorite
really liked
episode of
this
this
episode.
season. I really like this episode. I thought this episode was
Okay.
great.
Okay. So for me, I was wrong about Mark. So last time I talked about how I was really irritated that they basically ignored that he had gone through this procedure and that he's all one now. So I was wrong. He's not all one mind yet. So I was
Yeah.
wrong about that. I still think my complaint is valid that they completely ignored it, because they did, until that one little part where he had that flickering. But other than that, it was just completely ignored.
And they
Um,
could have had more flickering or more something for sure.
More just establishing that this takes place after that happens.
Yeah.
You know, just more to it. There's more going on with Mark than him just kind of being there and then seeing his wife for a second, and then yeah. Um the whole point of view of Mark being hurt that Helly wasn't Helly when he slept with her was really interesting. They did a great job with that. Um the whole distrust of Helly with the other guy, whatever his name is. Um Also very good. Just the third computer guy, the
Oh
fat
yeah.
one. I don't remember
Yeah.
his name off the top of my head. Um, this was a really solid episode. I would say on par with episode 3, which would be my third favorite episode. I think 1 and 2 are easily better than this latest one,
Okay.
just because it establishes the cultiness, but there's not a lot of progression that happens in this one.
Oh, the progression of the
Uh,
whole numbers and Mark going through what he's going through and the progression of his story with Helly. I thought there was quite a bit of progression in this one. I really liked it a lot.
I felt pretty stagnant in this one, which is it's kind of the show, right? Like it's a slower paced show. It's not like saying this was a bad episode, like I would say about episode 4. Um, it's a good episode. Um, it's just with episode 1 and 2, I was highly invested, highly intrigued,
Okay.
very eager to keep going. And after episode 5, I'm just like, I guess we're gonna get there when we get there. So
Okay. Did it
which
make
is
you
similar to where I was with episode 3.
episode 3? All right.
Yeah.
Are you just ready for it to move forward a little bit faster? Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want some semblance of plot with all of my characters, I guess is how I would say it. Cuz
Okay.
like after episode 2, I was like, "Oh my gosh. What's the fat guy's name?
What is his name? He's the fat guy.
Dylan.
Dylan, yeah.
I was super interested to see how the dynamic between Dylan's Audi and his wife and Dylan's Annie and his wife kind of works and
It
how
looks
that
like
kind
they
of unfolds,
might not even
right?
do that.
Because we had a disagreement of like what that symbolized. Because you were like, she always thought he was a loser. I kind of saw it as she just realized he was a loser because she saw what non-loser Dylan looks like. Um, and I was like, that's super interesting. That's a cool dynamic for this kind of a show where they're already doing a lot of these mystery things. So here's a way to like be interesting in your show without necessarily giving away your bigger plots or things. So I was very excited about that. Uh, I was very excited to see the Mark and Helly, but specifically Helly's side of that interaction. We got to see Mark's.
That
So,
would have been interesting too. Yeah.
right, like I was like, I really wanted to kind of see Helly's Audi and kind of figure out why she would do that. Right? Because it kind of alluded to that maybe she doesn't like feel love and maybe she sees that her any experiences that.
Yeah,
But
it
we don't
does
have
show
any
that at the
closure.
beginning.
We don't really see anything. We're not really explained to why she did what she did or what our internal motivators are. We
Was
kind
it
of see Mark's side of him reacting to the situation. So,
was it just to manipulate Mark, or was it because she's in a
no.
position where she's kind of a cult leader heiress and she's probably untouchable, so nobody ever really gives her any kind of affection or kindness or anything
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. So, like, I'm just, I don't have any answers to Helly. I don't have any answers to Dylan. We have a little bit of progression with Mark. We have a little bit of progression with the cult.
Yeah. I am going to change my rating just a little bit. I think it's on par with episode 1, which is my second favorite. But that's
Okay.
because you have the Irving part where you have the other guy that he has the
Or,
relationship with on the any yeah, when he's an innie and he's like, "You should come to dinner." And I'm like, "You guys were innies. You were basically different people. Who gives a shit? Move on." That was the one
well,
part I forgot about that part until we were talking, but yeah,
is
it's kind
well,
of
the question of the show is: are they actually different people? Right? Are the innies and the
yeah.
outies actually different? I know I asked you last time, and you said that they are, but
Okay.
like in terms of like personality quirks and interests and stuff, are they different?
So let's say you were dating somebody and you find out that in the office space when you're there innie, they slept with somebody else. Do you feel like you were cheated on?
Yes, absolutely. But
You do. Okay.
yeah, but I mean that's just me, you know. Um, it's definitely an interesting thought process. I'm also having the thought process of like, would you choose to be severed?
No.
I would
No.
absolutely yes.
No way. I would not want part of me doing stuff that I didn't know about. Like that is horrifying to me. The idea, I know this is different, but Alzheimer's where you forget yourself.
Hmm.
The idea that a past version of me I can't remember did things that I don't remember is terrifying to me. Like absolutely horrifying.
Yeah,
No, never.
I
Never,
understand
never,
that.
never,
Yeah.
never, never, never.
I
Why would you
absolutely would be severed. I
why
would
would
go
you
up
do
and
that?
be like, I want you to enslave this guy. I want you to make him do physical labor all freaking day. I want you to beat the crap out of him.
And only feed him protein bars and
Yep. Chicken and rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, why would I choose to be severed? Because I would get a paycheck. I would be able to live and live my life well and like not never have to work.
you know what'd be interesting with that? Like you just made me think of this. If you had a job that was hard work all day long. Like you kind of get mentally drained and you come home and you're like, I just want to watch Suits or Big Bang Theory or whatever. when you went back into your normal personality, even if you were working extremely hard and your body was tired all day, would your brain just be like, yeah, let's go. Let's work on the next project. I'm ready to go. Or would you still feel tired?
It would depend on if it was mental or physical exhaustion. Because they already established that, like, with Bert, he would still feel satisfied after work,
Yeah, that's true. That's
right?
true.
So the feeling still. So if you had a bad day at work, I'm guessing you would go through the process and still kind of be cranky afterward,
And not really know why.
right? But if I had the ability to be like, okay, I have to do none of the work, I get to have all of the benefit of being physically fit and have a good paying job and all this kinds of stuff. Yeah, put me in that because then all I have to do is not is when I'm me, my Audi, is I just get to live. I don't have to work. I don't have to work out. I don't have, all of that stuff is taken care of by my innie, and I never have to do any of it.
But you'd miss out on a lot of human connections. I feel like you develop as a person a lot while you're at work. There's a lot. That's a lot
Yeah,
of
just
time.
to go out and do things. Just meet people other ways. Be social.
Just make
And
it
that's
happen.
coming from me,
Yeah, that's
right?
coming from you.
Just go out, like, if I had the energy for it and I had all the money in the world, I'd go golfing all the time, go dirt biking, right? And when you go golfing, they're going to pair you up in a group, right? You're going to be set up
Talk
with
to them.
people and go out and meet people, still date and do all that kind of stuff. And if your Audi is married like you are, right? You still have your wife and future kids to take care of, like Dylan has, and right. For me, it would be just getting rid of the responsibilities of work. And if I could choose, like, have him do something physical, right? Then I don't have to worry about physically taking care of my fat ass anymore. I'm just going to start losing weight. And you know what I had to do about it? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. I just have to get up and get to work on time. That is it. Everything else is taken care of for me.
And the innie
Yeah.
wouldn't know any better, so when they're just eating chicken and rice, they'd be like, "Wow, this is amazing." And they don't
I
know
like
the
chicken
fact
and
that
rice.
pizza tastes so good.
Yeah. I could drink Dr. Pepper all the time and not feel bad about it, so yeah, that sounds pretty great to me. I mean, for another side of that is like I would never have to think about work.
No, you wouldn't.
For a lot of
And the
time I would
innie would become specialized in work and be very, very good at that because that's their whole life.
yeah, I wouldn't have to think about what am I going to do in 10 years or is the job I'm in what I want to do for the rest of my life and
But wouldn't it freak you out that, like, what if your innie gets fired? You have developed no skills. Like, you don't know how to do anything.
well, I mean, I do. Right? I'm still me in this situation. I still have skills. I still have my previous work experience. Still have all my talents and abilities, except
Yeah, but
I'm
while
more
everyone
physically
else
able to
was
do them.
working and like getting more skills, you've spent the last decade gaining no skills. Like nothing.
Well,
Work
I'm
wise
still
at
me,
least.
so I think I would. Right?
If you
I would still want to do the podcast, so that's a point that I'm hoping to monetize and
that
grow
is a
and build into
skill.
something, right? Like I have a habit of just like doing random projects and like learning things. I still like learning how to code and fidgeting with Unreal Engine and that kind of stuff. Like it's
But if
not
you
like
didn't
the my Audi version would just all of a sudden sit around and watch TV all day every day because I don't have to do anything.
but like if you had this mindset where you don't have to work in 10 years, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff, everything that you just said, would you still, because I think part of the reason you coded, yes, you enjoyed it. Part of it was like, well, maybe one day I can do this. And if you didn't have any of that, wouldn't that decentivize you at least some?
No, because I have other projects and stuff that I do that's the exact same.
Okay. Okay.
Like, yes, you're absolutely right. I probably picked that at the time because of that, but I don't think I would have never picked that,
Okay.
if that makes any sense. Right? For me, coding is one that I was like, I wish I would have picked it up in high school.
Yeah.
Right? I would have been joining that kind of workforce when it was in high demand and could have easily gotten a job straight out of high school making great money,
Yeah.
you know, but I didn't, so that sucks
Would have
for
changed your life.
me, but whatever. That's not a big deal about that. It's just kind of what it is. So like would I choose to be severed? Yeah, I think I would. Especially if
Okay.
I had like some semblance of control of it,
What
right?
if it was
Like
like this situation where you
physical labor.
pretty much have none?
Oh, I think they do.
Very, very, very little, and it seems like they're kind of lied to.
I mean, they are lied to, but like if I said, "Hey, I want to be severed. I want to do this,
Mhm.
but I want mine to have a physical labor job." Do you really think they'd be like, "No, we're going to lie to you. We're going to
No,
stick
they
you in to
wouldn't.
look at numbers." No, they'd be like, "Okay, we need these manufacturer people like Bert. These we need somebody to go dress up like a goat and run around a field with some sheep." Like it's a cult. They need lots of different things. Heck, they need somebody to wear an animal head and dance around for the founder. Would I personally ever do that? No. Am I okay with my any version that I have no memory of doing it? Doing it? Yeah, go for it. Have fun.
Would you want those memories to be separated forever, or if they were
Yep.
like,
Nope. Separate it forever. I don't want to know.
okay, a decade later, if they were like, you can join these together, you would not want that.
No. I mean, this goes into the other conversation we were having where if you could choose to forget someone, would you? And would you want to then remember? Um, would I be curious? Yes, I would absolutely be curious as to what was going on. Uh,
Okay.
would I force it? No. And if it was like, hey, this company was just accused of enslaving and torturing, like kind of what happens in the show when Helly gets on stage and is like, I'm an innie and they enslave me and torture me all the time, right? I'd be like, I don't want to know. I'm probably
Interesting.
not going back to that place anymore, but I don't want to like have those memories of being tortured.
Would you? I would just be so curious if my innie was being tortured, even if it wasn't said that. Like they just wouldn't know any better. They'd be so easily influenced. I'd be wondering if any of the influence actually did work on my brain. Am I getting brainwashed and I don't even know it? Yeah, nah, I couldn't do it. Nope.
Uh, yeah, I think for me it would be don't think too much about it. Take the paycheck, take the physical benefits of
And
somebody
peace
else having to do it, and just trying to enjoy my Audi life.
more.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
I mean,
I'm
if
curious.
I was like you and I was more like interested in my like career and like I really want to make this thing work, and you've got your business and you've grown to a pretty important person at your company, and like you have that kind of passion and drive for your career, whereas I'm kind of just like, this is working for now, I'll take it,
It makes me money. Like it gets me where I need to go.
yeah. If I just didn't have to think about work ever again and I started losing weight and all I had to do was just like sleep through work, which is essentially what the sales pitch is, you're just gonna be asleep for 8 hours. Okay. Do it.
I
And
don't know
you're gonna
why.
pay me for it? Yes.
Yes, I
Sounds
don't
great.
know why this made me think of this, but like your innie is only eating chicken and rice, right? That's all he knows. And then one day you're like eating Cheetos at home, and you forget to lick up the Cheeto dust, and your innie goes in and it's like, what the like? What is this? I need this.
they're still given fruit and stuff. It's not like they don't eat anything good.
Yeah, but that would have been funny. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, I would be curious. Anyone watching, would you get severed? I wouldn't. Josh obviously would, but I'm curious what you guys think. Anyway,
And let us know if you're a career oriented person, because I think that's the differentiating factor here.
that's a good point. And why are you career oriented? Like, what do you get out of it? What's yeah. Anyway, um, all right, I'll start the next one. Cobra Kai season 6. I think it felt fan servicey at the end, but I don't even care. I really like the ending of the show. The whole Johnny gets in the last duel thing with somebody who's way younger than him was contrived and kind of stupid, but I also don't care because I liked it. The Cobra Kai being the last ones to fight, also contrived fan servicey, kind of like it. Robbie not just fighting um what's the other dojo's name? Miyagi-Do. When there's an open spot for him to fight for Miyagi-Do, kind of contrived. Don't really care. The whole Cobra Kai thing was awesome, and I kind of liked it. It worked with the show, and I thought the ending was really good. What did you think?
It's a mixed bag for me.
Okay,
Uh, I thought that Johnny's final blow to the other guy was get him doing the crane kick.
that's what I thought too. I actually told Sydney at the beginning of the episode, I was like, "This is what's gonna happen," and they didn't do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I actually think I would have liked it too. Um, I definitely did not see Eli and Hawk becoming Phineas and Ferb. That was not
Neither.
on my bingo card at all. Uh, Overall, I really liked it. Here are my problems with it. I think that Robbie should have been the final, not Miguel. Um,
Oh,
I
interesting.
know that they were building to Miguel being the Danny of the show and Robbie
Yeah.
being the Johnny of the show. And I get why they did what they did. I just felt like Robbie earned it throughout the show and actually deserved to win. And they were just like, so Miguel has nothing at stake at all, but he's going to do it anyway. And Robbie has everything to lose, and we're just going to injure him. Okay. Like, I get why they did what they did. I just, the whole time, I was really wanting Robbie to be the one at the end standing on top
An underdog kind of a story because it would have
in
been.
underdog. Well, a redemption story, right? It would
Yeah.
be kind of like if Zuko was the hero in Avatar,
Yeah.
right? The person who redeemed themselves then moved on, whereas Miguel was always kind of just like the good guy, and the good guy won in the end.
Yeah. And
I
his
was like,
story was
okay,
dorky kid to person who wins grand champion, where Robbie is like broken down again and again and again, and he
keeps
then does
fighting
great
and
things.
resilience and like all this kinds of stuff, and like they kind of did that with Tori ish. But I really wanted Robbie to be on top because I felt like um, both Tori and Sam both were equally like fighting for things and had something to lose. But Robbie was fighting for the rest of his livelihood. And Miguel was fighting for, man, I could really use this on my college transcripts to get into Stanford
That I already got into.
that I already got into and I just didn't know it. You know, that was like, oh, gosh, I really wanted it to be Robbie.
Robbie.
And I think they knew that because the whole way they gave Tori and Robbie the special deal where they're going to pay them is like the most BS kind of thing that I feel like they just threw in there.
The entire end of the show just feels very like contrived, fan servicey, which is the show, so I was fine with it. But everything just ended so cleanly and so good. Everything.
I know, but like what Robbie and Tori their job would be is not a real job. There is not a company on planet Earth that would do
Nope.
that.
Nope.
That would be just giving away money for free. And no, they're not going to do that at all. And so
Yeah.
that's why I feel like it's the most like ridiculous one because yes, they're just trying to make everybody have their own happy ending. But it feels like they were like, "Oh crap, what are we going to do with Robbie and Tori? They both
Give them a
failed, so they
sponsorship
can't go to
contract.
school, they can't go on, they can't really do karate. They're going to do this thing. Oh, it's going to work out for the rest of their lives. We don't have to think about, you know."
Yeah. I'm like,
Um,
why would Miguel not get the sponsorship? That's a huge amount of money. And he's the one who won.
yeah. Um, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And Miguel can
Miguel
go.
and Sam also kind of bothered me. Um, him
It
just
was
showing up.
contrived.
No, I'm pissed off that he just kind of showed up.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like that
Interesting.
is not healthy behavior at all. Like if she had asked him or said something like, "Man, I really wish you would come to Okinawa with me." That is an entirely different situation to me showing up at your house and saying, "I'm coming with you." Right, Colin? If when I
Yeah.
said I was moving to Hawaii, you were like, "Oh man, that sucks," and then I was getting on the plane and you showed up and like, "I'm coming with you." I'd be like, "Dude, you need some
No.
help." That is weird, you know.
But that's
And
really kind of a staple of a lot of rom com type stuff.
I know, but it would have taken zero effort for her to have just said like she wanted him to come or like, "Wouldn't it be nice if you could come with me?"
Yeah.
But they
It would have
had
been a
ended
very small
things
thing.
totally fine as like,
Yep.
he's gonna go to Stanford, she's gonna go to Okinawa, and it's gonna suck, but they're gonna make it work.
Yeah. That's one of the things I don't like typically about high school shows. I feel like it's okay to move on and have other friends. It's the one thing I didn't really like was the Hawk and the other guy. What's his name?
Eli.
Eli. I was like, Eli's wanted to go to MIT for a really long time. He can just go to MIT. It's okay. You guys don't have to go to the same school. It's
But
fine.
so did Hawk.
Yeah, but like Hawk, I felt like they gave it enough reasons and they gave the character progression. Eli's just like,
There was
well,
no
I guess
character
I'm not
progression.
going.
They said, Hawk, you don't want to go to MIT anymore because it's gonna create this tension and because we want the drama. That's why they did it.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. That's fair.
You know, I wasn't mad at that at all because they were more than just like friends, right? Like they were Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
So like him saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Caltech," also a bit contrived and a little bit stupid, and like, but
Yeah.
didn't bother me as much as I'm following you to the other side of the
To
country without you asking.
Okinawa.
And by the way, Hawk said he wanted Eli to come to Caltech with him, which
That's
means the
true.
writers knew how to represent a healthy
They could do it.
relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
that
yeah.
Phineas and Ferb thing, I actually didn't really think about it before. I kind of pushed it away. But Miguel is a lot smaller than
Oh, I was
the other
thinking about
guy.
that the whole time.
And I was watching it and I was like, this wouldn't work
Yeah.
at all.
No, Robbie would be
His
seeing an
arm
arm
stretch would
coming
be
from up
different.
here and not here,
Yeah.
and yeah, it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
No. I also thought that they were gonna be like Miguel was gonna have a scene where he's like, uh, Robbie trained to fight you. I trained to be you, and that's why I can beat you. Kind of a thing.
Just go full on anime with it.
Yeah, because like it's true, like Miguel was practicing the moves of and the sequences of him. So it
Yeah.
would make sense that he would actually learn more from that experience than Robbie would.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it. That's totally fine. I don't really care. But I did think that that was going to happen.
That would have been funny.
Mm.
Did so you did enjoy it though, like solid,
Yeah,
good enough.
it's solid. I mean, it was definitely like, here, we're going to button up all the pieces. I actually, surprisingly, I loved the Crease plot.
Me too.
I
Me too.
loved
I was
him
surprised by
coming to
that.
terms, accepting things, taking accountability.
And Johnny's scene where he talks to Kreese, Johnny
But
did a
like, I loved
fantastic
you.
job. The
Yeah,
acting is
so good,
phenomenal.
so good.
Like
Uh,
it's maybe the best acting in the show is that scene.
yeah, Kreese fighting Silver and them both dying, I thought was a good choice. Um, the I don't even know what his name is. The other sensei and the female sensei
The grandfather
having the
guy.
ending scene. No, the girl and the guy that hooked up,
Oh yeah,
and so Chosen and
Chosen.
Kim
I don't know her name.
having
Kim.
their
Okay.
scene at the end where they were together. I
Great.
was totally on board for that too. Uh,
Oh, and then the Chosen. We have a saying in my country, and he says the Japanese. It means Riki is bullshit. I
yeah,
laughed so hard.
yeah.
That
Uh,
was so funny.
the whole scene where everybody came out and they even brought back like Kenny and all this kinds of stuff to wear the Cobra Kai thing for Johnny's fight, I thought was like, they would never do that. There's no way Kenny would put that uniform back on. There's no way that all of these people who had so much abuse from that dojo would just be like, yeah, we're going to support Johnny by wearing it. No, they would be in the stands cheering for him, but made for a good little scene,
Okay.
where they put
Kenny's
everybody on screen again.
Kenny's the only one that I thought wouldn't do that. Everyone else I didn't I thought they would.
Yeah. I'm also kind of sad because uh, there's the fight between Robbie and Kenny, where Robbie just absolutely obliterates Kenny, and there was this
Yeah.
one big move. I was really wanting that in the finale. Whether it was Miguel getting in one really good hit before he started to lose to the other guy, or Robbie doing that, or whatever. I wanted a really big, huge, powerful, big moment,
I mean,
and I
the
didn't
one
get it.
girl got kicked in the face and there literally is a tooth that flies out, which was
It's not the
awesome.
same. It's not the same.
I thought it was. How is that not
Nope.
the same?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. That was a really good hit, but it wasn't
Yeah, it
like
was awesome.
absolutely obliterate in a single move kind of a hit. It was kind of like weaken or finisher, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
I can kind of see what you mean. I don't know if I agree, but I can kind of see what you mean.
If you disagree with that, that's totally fine. I'm not mad at that perspective at all. I just thought Johnny's going to end with the crane kick and it's going to be one big, powerful final blow thing.
Which
I
would have
didn't
been
get that.
sweet.
I
That's
didn't
fair.
get it. I didn't get a big, powerful final blow with the kid fights. I didn't get a big, powerful ending blow from the adult fight. I didn't get a big, powerful blow from Kreese and Silver literally fighting to the death.
Yeah.
So I wish that I wish they'd done that, but that's just a preference thing. I'm not mad at all about what they actually did. I still loved how they did it. The
You
fights
just
felt
wish you would
really
have had
good and
that.
solid. It would have been really. I would have just loved it if there was one knockout punch kind of moment
Okay. For
where
me, that was the Tory kick because I was like, that, but oh, that's awesome. My one problem with it, which they haven't done the rest of the show, I was like, what sport doesn't have people use mouth guards? I think this girl would have a mouth guard on for sure, but that's a
it mouth
small
guards
thing.
in pretty much every sport are optional.
Are mouth guards optional in football? I thought you had to have them.
You
And
have
I thought
to a
you had to with the
degree.
MMA too. I
I don't know
is
about
that
MMA.
real?
But in football, you have to have a mouthpiece, but it doesn't necessarily have to protect your teeth.
Oh, I thought that you had to have one that protects your teeth.
Oh. Like you have to stop them from biting each other. You basically clamp it, but you don't
Well,
have to
that's
have
it.
the individual teeth protection. No,
Huh. I didn't know that. Okay,
no.
cool. I thought you
I
basically had
know
to have them for
in
anything.
hockey and boxing they're optional.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I mean most
I
people
thought they were
do.
mandatory.
Most people do, but in a lot of sports, teeth are not like protected things.
Hmm.
I also know that they're optional in rugby.
I didn't know that either. I thought you had to have them. Okay, that's cool. It's good
Yeah,
to know. I didn't know that.
yeah. Um, I do know that in karate tournaments, like we have a dojo friend, Brandon Chambers, Tiger Den Dojo. Shout out to him. If you live in Utah County, absolutely send your kids or go to his classes. But um,
Absolutely.
I went to his BJJ tournament, and he said about a quarter of people wear mouth guards in it.
Hmm. Cool. I did martial arts growing up, but I didn't really do tournaments like that. That really wasn't the martial arts I did. Um, I did some MMA, which I had to wear a lot of mouth guard for, but
Was it by rule that you had to wear it, or was it because your mom told you you had to?
I thought it was the rule, but I don't know. I played football in high school, and I think I had to there too, but it was
A high
just
school
something
probably,
everybody did.
like, they probably make the students wear it for that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but like basketball, when I did basketball in junior high, we didn't have to wear mouth guards there.
Nope,
I don't know.
definitely don't in basketball.
Is there anyone besides Curry that does wear a mouth guard? I
Curry's
still
the I mean, yes, I don't know who, but yes, there are some more that do, and it's becoming more popular because of Curry.
and his half chewing on it all the time thing.
Yeah,
Cool. So that brings us to Cobra Kai. Full things done. What do you rate the show?
9 out of 10.
Holy crap. Okay. Wow.
I love this show. I absolutely love this show. Yes, it is a soap opera. Yes, there are things that are contrived and stupid in it. Yes, there are some weak characters and weak points. Uh, Kenny was super underutilized. Um,
Absolutely.
Stingray coming back in the end was basically just to show what happened to him and should not have actually happened because that guy should have been arrested a long time ago. Uh, all that kind of stuff. I still love this show. It is the greatest soap opera of all time.
Nine.
It's so
That
good.
is wild to me.
What would you rate it?
I think seasons 1 through 3, I would actually agree with you. I would give that high of a rating. Maybe not that high. It would be close. It'd be close. 4 and 5 are significant drop offs to me, like pretty large drop offs. And then I have had problems with season 6. I do like the way that it ends, but we've talked about it. I have some issues. Maybe an 8, maybe, but I'm kind of want to go like a 7.7,
Okay.
7.8.
Are you happy you watched every single season?
Yeah, but if I rewatched the show, I would watch seasons 1 through 3, and then I would skip to the end of 6.
Interesting. If I were to rewatch the show, I would absolutely rewatch everything. I agree with you. 4 and 5 are the weak points of the show, and it's
By a lot.
definitely where they were like, okay, how do we introduce new problems without reintroducing the same problems? And they're really kind of struggling with that, and I get it. But it's still just enjoyable. It is still a soap opera. As a
It
soap
is.
opera, I would rate it as a 9 out of 10. As
Okay.
a
Okay.
general show, I in reality, I don't think I would go as high as a 9. But like as a show of what it is, right? As a soap opera, 9 out of 10 for sure,
Wow.
if that
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but like see I think it's season 4 in particular, like I couldn't give this show a 9. There's no way. No
What if
way.
you changed your mentality and rated it as a soap opera? How would that change your thought?
Uh, I don't really think that way. I don't think, to be completely honest.
Okay.
Like a horror movie, I don't. I guess I kind of do because I'm not like we're talking about horror movies and romance in one of our earlier episodes, and I'm not like you know what Halloween that movie's shit because there's not a single good romance in that movie. It sucks. I don't really do that.
Right, but we did talk about rating it as a romance movie and as a horror movie.
I did kind of, but it kind of just comes together in a overall what I believe is goodness rating. Like I
I know,
wouldn't.
but you were able to separate it. You gave me 2 different
I
ratings.
did
And
do
then we
that,
talked about Cinderella Story and how it's like, yeah, this movie objectively sucks. But
but it's entirely entertaining.
as a Cinderella Story movie, it's so funny, you know.
Maybe it bounces up to like mid eights. I still could
Okay.
not. I yeah, I still can't give it a 9. But
That's fine. That's totally understandable. That's totally fine. I think as a show, I'm still just a little higher than you. Like as just a TV show to watch, I would say, yeah, it's probably like 8.2. You know, it's still very enjoyable. I still love all of the characters and pretty much everything that happens and all of the drama and intrigue and all that kind of stuff. But it is like, you're right. 4 and 5 are pretty difficult parts of the show because it's either been there, done that. You came up with a stupid excuse to reintroduce the same problem they already addressed. There's not a lot of character development anymore. You're absolutely right. I just really enjoyed this show at the end of the day. And if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, should I watch Cobra Kai?" I would say absolutely yes. I wouldn't say, "Well, you should, you know, just so you know, when you get to season 4, it's pretty rough." Right? It's not like even Psych where I'm like, after season 5, it kind of struggles, or The Office where I'm like, "Oh, well, just so you know, after Michael leaves, it kind of sucks." With this show, I would just absolutely yes.
okay,
And so for
that
that
might
reason, I can't give it lower than an 8 because if it's that definitive for me
then
to
you have to put it up
recommend,
there.
it's got to be an 8.
My dad fell off in season 3, which I think is crazy because season 3 I think is really good. I think season 2 is the best season, but season 3 is really good. I'm going to tell him to just watch the end of season 6 because I think he'll like that. But I wouldn't recommend and be like, Dad, you should watch season 4 and 5. No, I don't think he'd enjoy it at all. But I do think he'd like the end of season 6.
Right, but that's not really what I was talking about because nobody's
That's
going to
true.
come up and say, "Hey, I'm really liking this show. I've just finished season 3. Should I watch season 4?" That would be
No.
super rare if that happened, right? I'm talking about
Yeah.
somebody who's just like, "Hey, I haven't seen this show. Should I watch it?"
It'd be more like, season 3 was kind of it was decent for me, but I didn't really love it. Does it get better in season 4? And I could be like, no. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, if somebody was here, said, "Should I watch this show?" I wouldn't give any caveats or any qualifications to
You
it.
just be
I would
like,
say
yeah.
absolutely yes, and so it's gotta be an 8 for me because I still think it's enjoyable in season 4 and 5, even though it's really not great compared to the other seasons. So yeah,
Okay.
absolutely
Okay.
yes. Watch this show. It's great. I highly
It,
recommend it. It's
it is
super good.
extremely entertaining. It is one that, if you guys haven't seen it, you should give a shot. You'll have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
good,
it is a
enjoyable show.
it is a soap opera. So I guess that's my
100%.
qualification. It's a soap opera. Don't be expecting things to make complete sense because it's just a soap opera.
It
But
absolutely is a soap opera.
I will die on this hill. This is the greatest soap opera that has ever been written.
I haven't really watched that many soap operas, so I can't say that because I just haven't watched them.
I haven't seen enough either, but there's a reason for that, and it's because this one's the greatest,
It's because the other ones are
and the
terrible.
other ones suck. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's Cobra Kai. Now let's go to our last topic. And since I've had like a year to stew over this book, I want to hear your thoughts first.
This is the first time I don't think it's gotten better book to book.
Okay.
Uh, there was a lot of stuff going on. I don't feel like Carl was the main character of the plot, even though he was the main character of the story. However, it ended on some pretty freaking big cliffhangers,
It did.
which absolutely royally pisses me off. I'm I'm not sure what else to say. I absolutely loved it.
Interesting.
It's a great book, but we've talked about this before. Like you start reading 1, you absolutely love it. 2 is even better. 3 is even better. 4 is even better. 5 is even better. 6 is even better. 7 isn't.
Which is more disappointing. It's a great book, but it's disappointing because this is what's been building up since book 1, since like chapter 2. You've been building up for this, and it just doesn't. I like this book a lot, but it doesn't live up to as hyped as I was for it. For me, even though I like the book a lot, it's a great book. I was so hyped for this book, like so unbelievably out of my mind hyped. Maybe the most hyped I've ever been for anything. And as much as I still think it's really good, it just didn't. It didn't quite hit that level for me.
That's fair.
Which is too bad because there's a lot of great stuff in this book. A lot. I really
A
like
lot.
the Katia and her history thing is really good, fantastic.
Katia is phenomenal. This is the best Katia parts we've ever gotten.
I agree. I agree. It's great. It's absolutely great. I like Jamal, the jumping hammerhead shark. I think he's funny. Really like it. I like Rend. I think Rend and his like giggling little gremlin thing is awesome. The scene where he is storming Princess, what's her name? Donatia, Princess Donatia's castle, and they do the scrolls and collapse all of this work that the other team has done to try to keep them out. Very cool. The my favorite part of the book, and this was my favorite
Okay,
part
hold
when I
on.
read it.
Time out. We're going to
Oh,
stop right here. Okay.
good.
Really quick question for you.
Yeah.
Uh, I want you to answer this question and then spoiler warning. We're going to start talking spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers after this question, skip to the end of the episode. Okay. So my
Okay.
question for you is we were briefly talking about how this isn't better than book 6.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you rate this book in the order of how good the books are?
For me, it is book. This is just from best to worst. Book 3 is actually my favorite one, and then book 6, 5, 2, 4. Oh, I forgot this one. Book 3, 6, 5. This one, 2, 4, 1.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. For me, pretty much the same. 3, Iron Tangle is my favorite. It's just so cool. 6, 5. No, just kidding. 3, 1, 6, 5, 4, 2, 7.
One is your second favorite book?
Yeah.
Oh, that's surprising.
It just I just love it, right? If you're telling me like rate these in terms of quality, then it's probably just 3, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1.
Okay.
But
Okay.
like 1 is such a good introduction to the story,
It's great.
and I just love it for bringing me into this universe and establishing all these rules and doing all the world building so that I can just enjoy the plots of the rest of these books. That yeah, 1 is my second favorite. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's definitely not mine. But it might be a little bit above 4. I love the second half of 4 a lot, but the first
Oh, me
half of
too.
4 is the only part in the book series that has a little bit of a drag to me. But
Yep.
it's a little bit,
I would
but
rate I would give all of these books 8s and 9s out of 10s. So you're talking about literal like semantic small things that edges these out over the others because they're all fantastic. I put 7 at the bottom because it's the one that I actually enjoyed the least.
interesting. Okay. That's a
And
little
we'll get
surprising
into
to me
that
that it
when
was
we
that
talk
low.
about spoilers. But
Yeah.
like it's still an 8 out of 10. I still absolutely loved this book.
But it's the lowest in the
It's
series.
the lowest in the series. Now, spoiler warning. So from here on out, we're going to talk freely about what happens in this book. It just came out a week ago. So if you don't want to hear it, move on. Okay. Carl's the weak point of the book, and we never leave his point of view. Right? I think it's the best Katya we've ever gotten. I think the side characters are all super interesting and dynamic. I like Samantha. I like uh, Ren. I like the snail with the axe for the head. I like Katya's story is the best part of this book. Ellie is the best part. Like what's going on with Ellie is super interesting and dynamic. I like all of the other characters. And it even reflects in the book because there's a point where Carl goes like, I'm getting left behind.
Yeah.
Because all of these other characters are doing things and he's just kind of like running around to observe them. And that's why I enjoyed it the least, is because we never leave his point of view. Like, did we get enough milk in this book?
No.
Nope. I sure didn't. Um, I was hoping this was a small hope. I didn't really like count on it, but I was hoping that when the other crawlers came down into this dungeon, that they would have their old stuff, right? So they wouldn't have to re-choose class and level and all this kinds of stuff. They would just be what they were. And I thought that would have been really cool and dynamic because, like,
You would have had classes from the cyberpunk type races and
yeah,
planets.
absolutely, and guns and all this kinds of stuff. Uh, I was really disappointed in the plots. Uh, there were some things that I observed as a reader that I was like, okay, come on, guys, like, really? So, in the rules of the game, no offensive spells for the first part of it, which
Yep.
doesn't make any sense. There's no like logic behind that rule other than like insert barrier for the crawlers.
It just feels contrived.
It's contrived and it's kind of stupid. Uh, the team that holds the main part of the throne room for 8 hours wins. Why did Carl's and Donut's team immediately take the throne room at the beginning and just have to survive for 8 hours and have won everything?
Because that didn't happen until phase 3
No,
or 4 or whatever that is. Is
no,
that
they're
I thought that only started once a certain phase started.
nope.
No?
Nope.
Weird. Okay. I
Yep.
didn't catch that.
The winner of the thing is the team that holds the throne room for over 8 hours or kills the warlords for the shapeshifters.
Hmm.
So literally, they could Carl and Donut and the Krellers could have been like, "Hey, we're gonna abandon our castle because take it, who cares? And we're just gonna team up with the shapeshifters. We're gonna take this castle and we're gonna kill you all for 8 hours, and then we're gonna go down to the next floor.
Done. Game over.
We're done. Game over. We're done."
I didn't remember that, honestly. I thought it
It's
had to be a certain phase.
it's like they didn't do it, and it's fine. It's not like a big knock against it. But when they were explaining the rules, that's kind of what I expected to happen.
Hmm.
You know, and then when they established that like if you lose, you die, then absolutely, why didn't it happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Carl and Donut sit in a throne room for 8 hours, and nobody has the firepower to get through all the defenses in that amount of time.
And
Boom. Everybody
game
else
over.
dies. Everyone.
Game over.
Okay.
Done.
Well, they
Yeah.
didn't do that. It's a flaw that the writer probably just didn't think of, honestly. Fine, whatever. So they did what they were going to do. Do you remember what Carl picked up from the sixth floor?
No, I don't.
It was a trebuchet. And what did this
Oh, yeah.
trebuchet do? It magically imbued whatever it was thrown with poison or whatever it was.
Yep.
He has it in his inventory. Now I ask you, why, in this situation, when they're hurting for trebuchets, did Carl not pull this out of his inventory and start to use it?
I actually, on a Patreon post, I don't remember which one it was, I wrote that down. That's something I added because I was wondering that too.
You know, like we got an
Don't
answer
know.
to what they were going to do with all the bodies that everybody's been collecting. I kind of expected there to be a Carl felt ashamed because half the bodies were from his inventory kind of a thing because not nearly anybody was picking up as many corpses as Carl and
I
Donut were.
didn't expect that. I don't think at this point Carl's like, screw that. I don't think he'd care. With this character,
I
I don't think
think
he'd care.
I think if it specifically called out, like the AI was like, "Hey, just so you guys know, half of these were picked up by Carl," everybody would be like, "Dude, what the hell?" You know, not a big thing. Does not matter at all to the plot or my rating or anything. Just was kind of like expecting that, but didn't get it, so it's fine.
Okay.
Um, just same with the trebuchet. Was expecting it. Kind of seems like a flaw. Maybe the writer has a different plan for that trebuchet. I have no idea, but
But you could
kind of
just pick
seems
it up
like that would
again.
have been
Why would you
super helpful in
not
that
use it?
specific scenario. Why would you
Yeah.
not use it? Uh, that being said, the plan to turn do the illusion with the acid at the phase one, super cool,
Very cool.
brilliant, absolutely super cool. Uh, the fact that they were so effective at it felt kind of cheap to me, but was still just fine. Like whatever. Um, them giving up Donatia's area also didn't make sense to me, but whatever, fine.
Oh, I really didn't have a problem with that because I was like, you're getting attacked by major forces. The smaller area that you control and can
Except
defend,
it's
the better.
you have 2 choke points,
Yeah.
and you take the next port, so you still only have 2 choke points.
Well, if you are longer, you're gonna have choke points along this whole entire side
Nope,
instead of
because they
just
can
the two that you
only
built.
enter through 1 point.
That's true.
There's 3 gateways. There's from the center, and 1 to the group to your left, and 1 to the group to your right. So you still only have 1 choke point. I understand that that was just for phase 1, but, like, just abandoning it doesn't make super sense to me either,
Okay.
you know? Like,
I didn't. Yeah. Yeah,
at
fair enough.
least drop traps all over the land everywhere so that anybody who tries to take the castle gets blown to bits.
It doesn't seem like it'd be worth the resources. I don't understand
They do it
purposely giving
later
up, but that's
when
an
there isn't
active
the
castle.
checkpoint. No, they take the one that's away from their group and they put traps all around it so that anybody who tries to take it gets blown.
You're right. That's
So they
weird.
do it at it. Why didn't they do it for the first castle? The one that is literally acting as a barrier between yourself and somebody else you do nothing with and just hope that the other groups fight over it. But the
That is
one that's
bizarre.
all the way across the map, you say, nope, that's the one we need to protect. That's
Doesn't
the
make a
one
lot of
that's worth the
sense.
resource. Doesn't make sense to me.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Um, so yeah, literally, I still love this book. Like Carl being designated ruler of Earth and having to negotiate on behalf of Earth. Interesting plot point.
Very cool.
Very cool. Uh, him um, being married and finding out about it from somebody he just killed. Very interesting.
Mhm.
Uh, the legendary trap at the end that made a bunch of stuff happen, and I'm sitting here going, "Holy crap! What does this actually mean for
It's
this series?"
awesome.
It's so awesome. I know a bunch of crap is going down on all the other floors, and probably everybody's dead. And so when Carl and Donut get down to the next floors, there's not gonna be any more anybody because the only safe space is level 17. But
Yeah.
by the way, you can't get there, so sucks to suck, I guess. Like, super interesting. I'm super interested to hear who took deals. You know,
Me too.
he ended it with like who was planning on taking deals,
Which is a lot of people. But
which
and
is a
he's
lot of
also
people, but
got the magic book with all of those skills, which is very interesting.
yeah.
What he
Uh
can do with that.
the AI being like, "You finally figured it out," was great.
Super
Um
great. The AI having this like love affair with the shopping cart lady was also an
yeah.
interesting plot point.
Yeah. Uh
I get that.
Carl and his telling of the book without telling of the book. Super interesting. Uh Carl hugging milk and
Is my
everybody just
that's what I was going to bring about. That is my favorite part of the book. That is my favorite part. Um,
it's so good. But I hate
so
that everybody just is like, yeah, that's fine.
I feel like, I mean, Carl's just kind of like, I don't want to talk about it. It's kind of just ignores it. So everyone else who wants to talk about it also just kind of leaves him to his piece, which they've done with Carl before, where he really, like, you can tell he just doesn't want to talk about something,
They
and they just kind
literally
of
just
let
saw
it
him
drop.
break down and cry and sob like a little girl for this random stranger of a person. And Ellie specifically, as nosy as she is, doesn't say
Like,
anything.
anything?
Like, I get that
Yeah.
this is a whole chaotic book and there's a lot of stuff happening. And I was talking
And
to
it's
Lauren
happening
about
all
it,
the
and I'm
time
like, I really hope that there's a point where I get to breathe as a reader at the end of this book or at the beginning of the next book, because so far it's just been pace, 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 pace. There's so much going on.
without the character interaction and the time to actually
Yeah. Without
process what's
me
going
as
on.
a reader being able to be like, okay, what actually just happened?
That's interesting because I
Where do I get to
got to breathe because
breathe?
I am reading a chapter. Like I'm reading 3 chapters and then waiting 2 weeks, and then I'm reading 3 chapters and then I'm waiting 2 weeks. So I got a breather where you just got like boom, 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 end.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And holy crap, Carl's married. How the heck does that work? And holy crap, she's Donut's lawyer? And holy crap, why does Carl's lawyer not trust her?
The I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but the start of book 8 is Donut talking with her, and I love it. I love it. But that's you'll see that later. Um, Super fascinating. Carl having a divine like ability to not be influenced has so many ramifications for what they can do in the future. Very fascinating. Um,
I actually thought it was super clever how he did it too.
Absolutely, like so good, and mixing it with the quest that's been continually progressing throughout the dungeon. Great, loved
Yeah,
it.
I'm a little disappointed there was not more to the Shea Maria storyline. They still could do
I think they
more,
will.
maybe, but kind of feels like they locked her in a little box and she's kind of just going to stay there for a while. Um,
I was fine with that, but that's fair.
uh, it just felt like a really big thing. And then they were like, yeah, but it doesn't matter.
That's I felt like they went through a pretty rough situation to be able to lock her up, and the
Yeah. Carl
connection
had
with
to go
the
witness Katya's worst memory. How tragic.
and he had to fight. He had to go into a rough situation with Sia Maria in a locked area inside of his mind. And the only reason that it worked out is because there was another god inside of her that is also very interesting with the whole king situation and how that leads to also being involved in the Grundy and that whole story with being able to get that power above 15 so it can avoid God's influence. Very interesting. All that was nice connected, and I didn't feel like it was super simple.
It was super simple. Not in like I said, I like the implication that she was casting the spell, which made him build that tolerance. Super clever.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Very clever. Very cool.
Didn't love that they were so easily able to lock her up and basically said she just gets to whisper now when Carl's weak.
I mean,
Right? That part I
I don't
wasn't a big
necessarily
fan
think
of.
it's easy when you have another god that's involved. Like a whole god is being responsible for helping
What
lock
did they
her up.
have to do? Not really.
The husband had to be involved, or locking her up wouldn't have worked.
I think you need to reread or listen to that part. Or maybe I do. But literally, it was just like one of the crawlers who already had the answer came down and did what they needed to do it.
Gave the
And like
answer, and then boom,
gave the
locked up.
coolest part of the book, which is Katya's building and character development and stuff and her story. But like in terms of Carl's, like it seems like really easy compared to how big of a thing this was just in book 6.
And considering how big of a threat she is,
Yeah.
at least she's supposed to be.
Yeah. Right? Like and he now controls her powers but didn't do anything with them. It's very I'm still confused on that bit. Um
I do wonder why he didn't use any of the powers at all. It's That was interesting to me, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I mean he did, but just like as an accident when he was unconscious or almost
Yeah,
unconscious or
when she
was
was
forced
controlling his
to when
body.
there was a bunch of gods. And so it's like okay,
But that's about it.
it's very yeah. So that's where I'm at. I still absolutely love this book. It is still very very good. I just felt like Carl wasn't the main character and he was the only point of view we got. And the whole
Fair enough.
legendary trap, while I think is really cool in plot, either it was just covered up by everything else going on in this book that I'm listening to, where boom, 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 and I don't get to piece it together. But it's to me that was something that just like happened at the end.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, they triggered this trap. Scroll AI announcements.
and that was it.
And that was it. I was like,
My biggest
what?
like contrived moment that I didn't really like was the whole Lena thing when they're clearing out the what is that place called? The good den area. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
Where she's using all of her powers and the entire place is going crazy and she's making the blood alive. Do you know
I have no idea.
right before they break in to that god's realm and Carl becomes invincible?
Oh, yeah.
Right before that. Well, she gets two skills at least. I think it might even be three, all the way to level 15. And it's like 30 minutes. This whole thing is supposed to take an hour. And in like 30 minutes, she gets three skills all the way up to level 15. One of them is starts at like level 2. Carl has like one skill at level 15. I don't even think his bombs are 15 yet. His punch isn't 15. But she gets three in like a half an hour. I thought that was stupid. I didn't like that at all. I straight up thought it was dumb.
Yeah. Uh, like I said, Carl doesn't feel like the main character of this plot. I think Donut's point of view through this level would have been way more interesting
That would have been cool.
because she clearly knows a lot more about what's going on than he does. And it really bothered me that every time she was building up to something interesting, she just said, "Don't worry about it, Carl. Trust me." I'm like, you're the closest we're getting to figuring out what is actually going on with this level.
Please
What is
stop.
actually going on with these characters? What the heck is yours and Katya's plan? What the heck? Why are we giving? You've been giving me crap about this ring since I got it, and now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, give it to this other character, no problem. What the actual crap?
Give me some more answers.
Give me some more information about what is even going on. Like, we are just following Carl from point A to point B to watch other characters solve problems.
For the most part, I agree. My favorite part of the book is the part where he right before he talks to Milk, and I wrote this on Patreon because it's probably my favorite chapter that Matt has written. Um, he gets invulnerability, and then he gets absolutely obliterated over and over and over and over again, and he comes to after being obliterated and realizes all the problems are still there, all the weight is still there, all the pain is still there, and he hasn't escaped any of it. He just somehow survived. And then he goes to Milk and he starts crying and just hugs her and holds her. And she just says, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay." And it literally made me think about when I first read it about the way I view religion. Like you die and who you are is still the same. Like if you take the normal Christian philosophy, you get reborn, your spirit is still the same, your mind is still the same, you're still you. But all of those problems that you're hoping will go away are just still there. They're still weighing on you. They're still taking you down. And it literally had me thinking about religion and aspects of humanity and aspects of like who I am as a person and who I want to become. Like it shifted the way I thought about my life. And it's the only chapter that he's really done that's like shifted me. But that when I first read it, it shifted my view on a lot of stuff. I I loved it. It is by far my favorite chapter of this book.
I definitely did not get that with that part. I agree with you. Brilliant writing, very good part of the book. Did not get that philosophical with it. So kudos to you. It all makes sense. It's great. I just didn't get that into it. My favorite
Yeah,
chapter of the book is when they're trying to sneak into the Reaver's castle and it's nighttime and he gets the charms
it's
where he
very
gets
cool.
distracted and stuff. The coolest part is as a reader and a listener, it is written in such a way that I was also tricked.
How so?
Like I did not suspect he was under a spell or a charm or anything. he kind of naturally progressed into this like introspectual moment, and it made sense.
Yeah.
And then they were like, Carl, you've been charmed. Snap out of it. And Ellie's trying to wake him up and all this kinds of stuff. And I'm like, holy crap, I fell for it. As a reader, I was charmed by this thing because the thought process Carl follows through that was so
It's completely
natural.
logical and
Yeah.
natural. Yep. It just flows.
And like the situation he's in is he's waiting, right? He's not like actively doing anything in that moment. So yeah, it makes sense that he would sit down and start to think for a second. That to me is my favorite part of the book. My second favorite part is him collapsing into Milk's moment. Uh, Mostly because we've talked about this before, is like when like masculine men break, it gets to me and stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And here's
That one got to me.
Carl. You will not break me. You will not break me. Guy going through all of this stuff, seeing this person that he knows only through theory actually breaks.
Yeah, and I think I wrote when I read that with Patreon. It's like you get broken down completely, absolutely destroyed. And what do you do when somebody comes up in front of you who might understand who you are? That's a pretty cool concept. And Milk, he's been reading Milk, and Milk has been helping him as like a voice, an angel, literally a guardian angel for him to help him out. And his guardian angel, at the moment he is completely and utterly obliterated, literally on a cellular level, destroyed, his guardian angel is right there in front of him. So that's so good. I love that chapter. I love it.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So that's my thing. Uh, I love how this book ended. I loved how, in theory, that everything that happened in this book is absolutely great. I just I don't think Carl actually mattered to the plot very much.
No,
You know,
not
especially
a
not
whole
in
lot in this
terms of
one.
like this book compared to the other books. Um,
No. Which in some ways I was okay with. Like I liked the fact that they had Lee Na do the obvious thing of like using the ring to mark all of these different people and becomes superhuman. I also really like that four of them escape, so she's stuck with this curse. Kind of balances her out, makes it's an interesting character growth. But I like that something that Carl definitely would have thought about doing. They had another character also think about doing and decide to do it, and because of that,
Carl
he
didn't
gets
think
locked out
about
of
doing
doing
it.
it. I yeah, I guess that's true. But Carl would have thought about doing something like that. Yeah, he did. He tried to do something like that, but he couldn't mark anybody anymore because they were
Yeah,
already marked by her.
individual ones. He thought to do it. He didn't think to mark everyone.
All of everybody.
Yeah,
That's true.
right. He thought he would think to
He
do
was
it,
like,
not
I'm
to
gonna
that
mark this one, this one, this one,
scale.
this one, this one there, but just not like everybody in her paw.
Yeah, not to that scale. Um, like I said, everything that kind of happens is very cool. It's very interesting. It's very dynamic. And I'm not saying I would like to hear everybody's perspective from this floor. Um, but like, if I could have gotten donuts where it was just a little bit more involved, where I could have gotten a little bit more information as things were developing, rather than just like this happens, then this happens, and this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Um, I would have liked a little bit more. Um, but at the same time, everything that still happened with Carl and like him having to face that he's responsible for these other people, but he can't control everybody all the time, kind of a thing.
It's
The
good.
fact that all the other characters are like, focus on your own thing, stop running my thing, was like, Carl definitely needs to figure that out because he keeps like getting distracted by what's going on with other people that he loses track of what he's doing. Um, was also super cool. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to it. I just, like I said, like the legendary trap thing was just something that kind of happened at the very end that I had no idea was even happening. Super interested to figure out what the fallout of that is.
But it felt like there should have been a little bit more time to build up and breathe with that.
Yeah, like, and maybe there is. Maybe it's just because I've only listened to it once so far and I was burning through it and there's already just so much happening. I just didn't notice it.
There's a
Entirely
lot.
possible. Entirely possible. Because this book doesn't give you time to breathe at all.
No, it just is go, go,
So,
go, 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 go.
so it is very much entirely possible. I'm not saying that it's not in there, and I don't want any comments that are like, "Well, if you would have been paying attention at this point in time."
There's just a lot.
I'm going to re-listen to this book. I'm going to, um, but gosh dang it, I feel like Carl runs to point B. This happens. Carl runs to point C. This happens. Carl runs to point D. This happens. And he doesn't seem to be influencing very much at all. And the stuff that he does have control over, like negotiating on Earth's behalf, he just kind of says, "I'm not doing that. Boom, you're dead." Bleh. Which makes sense for his character. I'm not mad at it. It's just like you could have like, why isn't he using that to make a better deal?
Yeah.
Why at the end of the book? Why isn't this happen? Like, why isn't he using that? Or
There's a lot of options.
it's like I want more. I want to matter more with this character, and
Breathe a
it
little
doesn't
bit
seem
more.
to matter very much in this
It feels like
book.
he's running around with his head cut off for
Yeah,
a lot of the book. Um, what did you think about the whole doctor lab thing and him running into that dark spirit? Do you have any thoughts on that? You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. No, I don't really have any thoughts on it.
Okay,
Like,
I thought it was really interesting, but I don't know where he's going with
I
it.
thought
That
it
was one
was
I
more
don't know where he's going.
interesting that the person he saved blames him for their father's death, brother's death. I don't remember why.
Yeah,
And at the end of the book, Carl's like, "I'm curious about that too. May never find out." Here we go. It's like, ugh, you can't just like not tell us.
yeah, that was the
Don't
cliffhanger. The
tell us.
whole Samantha is the scavenger thing is that one's probably my most interesting cliffhanger. I'm very interested in that.
Oh, I
Um,
called that.
I did too. Like that's one of my guesses for this book, but I'm very interested in where that goes. And the ooze being the scavenger's daughter thing, very interesting. Very interested in where that goes. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that
Yep.
I'm very
Empress's
interested in.
brother, Samantha having something to do with it. Uh, I really hope we get to keep the snail with the axe head.
I do too. It's
Really
awesome.
hope. I'm kind of sad that he didn't end up on the cover of the book.
That would have been cool.
Like, because he was my favorite. I liked him better than Jamal.
Oh, really? I
Jamal
love
was great.
Jamal.
I liked
I love
Jamal.
Jamal.
He's a good character and everything. But this axe wielding snail that kills the final member of the family that they needed to kill, who just kind of like runs around and is so eager to kill people and is so eager to matter. I just loved him. I was like, you know, even stupid little tasks, he's just so excited that like somebody wants him to do something. Whereas Jamal is like, I jump. I'm a shark that jumps. I love jumping. I was like, okay, that's cool.
But it only is cool for so long.
No, it's the right amount of cool, right? Like, I don't think it was overdone. I was never annoyed by it or anything. It's just I liked this snail a little bit more. He was a little bit more interesting to me.
Is the
I
snail
liked Rev too.
So he wants to do a recap at the beginning of each book, like he's done for the last couple, and he gave suggestions that we voted on. Would you have chosen the snail? Is that what you would have chosen for the
To
recap?
recap book 6 or to
To
recap book
recap
7?
book 7 at the beginning of book 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Rev can't talk. Absolutely, I'd choose the snail.
Mine was the nickel sock. I wrote that in because I think that would be awesome.
The nickel sock.
Yeah.
The nickel sock doesn't even talk.
Yeah, it
How's it
does.
going to give a recap?
It absolutely talks.
I
And that's
have
part
no
of the whole
recollection of
story
him
is
talking.
like is that the weapons with a personality that they talk to the person who uses them. Like Don Quixote is talking to the sock because it's talking in his head. And I think that would be awesome.
Oh, I guess you're right. So we never hear the sock talk.
We don't hear the
We
sock
see
talk, which is
him
part of the
talking to the
reason
sock.
why I think it'd be so interesting.
I mean, if you cast the Ant-Man guy as the sock, I guess.
That would be awesome. I would love that. I would love it.
Yes. I'd still prefer the snail. I'd even prefer Jamal.
I think Jamal could be cool. Somebody recommended the cleaner bot, which is a unique idea. He's like missing out on
The cleaner
everything, but
bot
the
wouldn't
cleaner
know.
bot just see it. No, they don't see it. Just
No.
keeps coming in here, and these stupid bitches just keep making my floor dirty. There was this
I would
rebel.
like it if they
Funny.
did it like a montage of,
Even
from
side
another point of
characters.
view with Star Wars. You just follow different side characters and not Carl's and Donuts cleaner bot. The cleaner bot that he stole from the robot people,
That would be funny.
right? And so if that section is told but from that cleaner bot, and Ellie told her section, and Donut had a section, and Katya had a section, right? Each of them kind of, and you use from other points of views through each section to recap. I'd be on board with that idea.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Huh.
So, for me, this book, my enjoyment of it honestly was diminished a little bit because of how hyped I was and how long they had built up book 9. Did that influence you in any way?
No,
No. Okay.
no. I think it lived up to exactly what they sold it as what it was supposed to do.
Okay.
Right? My downs on it are just the character we're following isn't the main character of the story, and we don't get to know enough about what's going on around him to piece it together ourselves. So things just kind of keep happening.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, I think everything that happens lives up to what they built the ninth floor to be. I think the AI going primal is a very interesting part that they introduced to it and everything that goes along with that. And Carl and the AI and what's his bucket doing their little negotiation was also very interesting.
This is very good.
I'm very curious as to if Princess whatever of the Stalwart clan survives. Uh,
I'm really interested in what they'll do with Earth and Katya going there and the twins already being there and then the princess being there, and you know that there's a revolt going on where they're trying to break into the facility where they have the children. I'm very interested in all of that
yeah, I'm super interested in that too.
and how
Katya choosing to be pregnant, I did not see coming.
I did. That's what I assumed was going to happen. The
I didn't.
ending, the Katya stuff, like that whole section is pretty much exactly what I was expecting to happen.
I wasn't because they spent the last two books establishing that she doesn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I know. I still figure that that's what they were going to do. Her character arc just made sense to, okay, we're dealing with the trauma. She's going to be a mother. That was the goal the entire time. That has been her plan the entire time. That is what they're doing.
But it hasn't been
Since
her plan or her goal the entire time. It
it's her
was her
original
initial plan, but not
initial
all the
goal
way through.
as a character. So that's what I thought that they would do once they dealt with some trauma. Like
No,
that's
I
what I
thought they
thought was going
moved
to
on.
happen.
I thought they were going to use her in unique ways as a celestial attendant.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to do that.
But no, I
They were going
liked
to
it.
have her
Just didn't pick it.
go to Earth and then be the point of view that we see for whatever's going on with that facility.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm wondering if they'll do it with this next book or not. I don't know that. I
I
don't
have
know
no
that. I
idea. I
kind of
don't even know if we're gonna
think
get
so.
Katya's point of view. We've only had Carl's all the way through.
I think we're going to, because this is
That's
obviously
not true.
something they keep referencing. I think they're going to show her point of view for what's going on there, even if it's a small aspect. We've had a few other points of view, but they're very short. Like we've had
They're
B,
flashbacks. They're not active.
yeah, yeah, very small points. Like we've had Mordecai a couple times. It's been small though.
Right. But they're always flashbacks. They're never active moments.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
for this one they'll use it a little bit actively.
We'll see. It would be an interesting change at this point in the series.
I agree, and I'm very interested in how the AI can now turn on skills if it wants to. It can stop the suppression fields and basically make enhancement zones as much as it wants to. So how does that work when it turns on Earth and you have some former crawlers, including Katya, that is on Earth? Very cool.
Yep, we're gonna see. It's definitely interesting. Things are definitely getting bigger and bigger. I'm still don't want it to turn into Carl outside of the dungeon thing.
I still think everything's going to become the dungeon. I think it more with this book.
I hope not.
Do you think more that that's what's going to happen with the whole AI is able to create enhancement zones and kind of make everything the dungeon like it shown it can?
It hasn't shown that it can turn everything outside of the dungeon into the dungeon.
When they have the meeting with the administrator guy, like the AI just gets the AI invades in. They didn't think it could do that. It just does that. The AI immediately turns on Carl's strength and abilities. They didn't know if they could do
Right, but
that. It literally
he's
brings up the
still
fact
in
that
the
it can
dungeon.
do that.
Yeah, but he's
I think
still in the dungeon.
I believe they
They're
pull him
in the
out of the
club.
dungeon into space. Or are
No,
they
they're
in the
in
in
the
the club?
they're in the club.
Okay, so they just have
They're in as
the
it's
enhancement zone there.
yeah. So he has the orb, right, that turns it
Yeah,
into an AI safe space, or at least it's supposed to.
yeah.
And the AI penetrates it and does his stuff. I agree with you completely. But I still think that's very different than being like everybody on Earth's surface is now in the dungeon. Everybody in space is in the dungeon,
But we
right?
know
He's
that it
shown that he can
can.
reach out and teleport people, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
always had that ability as the AI. He's always had control of the gates, and he's always had the ability to bring people in and out of the dungeon. That's not new.
But he's not just he's not just teleporting people in the dungeon. He's teleporting people outside of the dungeon too.
He's always had the ability to do that, right? It's always been up to the
Mm.
AI to control that, right? The the thing that surprised them was the radius. His radius of
Yeah,
control has
it was
grown,
expanded
but not
massively.
but not necessarily what he can do in each area, if that makes sense. Like he's
That does make
still
sense.
in the dungeon to control the dungeon. He can still control teleporting it within that so I don't know. You're very well could be right. It's just I'm saying it hasn't been established that he could do that.
Could do that yet.
It has not been established that Katya could have her powers on her surface.
That is true. That
So
is true.
we'll see what that entirely means. I don't know. Like I said, I don't. This book right is still in the dungeon. It was just floor 9,
Mhm.
and it already felt like nothing was really in the main character's control. Everything was kind of just already happening. If they take it even further and say everything in the dungeon, right? Let's say the AI expands his control to the center system, which is the big fear of
Yes.
the stalwart princess, and everybody else says it's impossible, XYZ, whatever.
Hmm.
If he can do that and he expands to the center system and can turn everything into the dungeon, and Carl just leaves the dungeon and starts doing whatever. Uh,
I just don't know what other good option there really is because, like, the dungeon is where Mongo lives. The dungeon is where Ren lives. The dungeon is where all of these NPCs live. The dungeon is kind of everything. And I don't know how Carl has the power to be able to fight the forces that are outside in an effective way without the AI and the dungeon. I don't know how you get a satisfying you are left satisfied at the end of the book series if you have all of these characters that are just screwed because they're stuck in the dungeon. I don't see a good option without the AI and the dungeon kind of becoming everything in a way. I don't think it necessarily has to I don't think the AI necessarily has to become some supreme overlord. I think there's something to do with Carl being a primal and the AI going primal that is connected in a way I don't really see yet. But I don't know how you get satisfying conclusion without that aspect.
well, you can let all of those living things leave the dungeon.
But they can't leave the dungeon because they
Yes, they can.
are created by the dungeon. There are things that aren't created by the dungeon, but like Mongo is created by the dungeon.
Yeah, so
I don't think you can leave the dungeon.
he can. They've established that.
When do they establish that created things from the dungeon can leave the dungeon?
That they when they said that you could do that.
I don't remember them saying created things could.
They absolutely did, right? Things can leave the dungeon. Created things by the dungeon. Now they do establish that that's never really happened before and that they don't do that. But literally in this book, there's the sit down with Carl and leader dude
Administrator
and
dude.
the
Yeah.
AI. And Carl says, I will tell you how I know this information, but you need to shut down the crawl and let all of the NPCs, all of the people, all of the crawlers do. No more crawls ever again, XYZ, whatever. And the guy says, if I still could do that, I would, and not a single person wouldn't take that deal at this point in time. But
Yeah.
the AI has got taken control, and we no longer have the ability to do that. Please tell me how you know that Princess Stalwart's plan isn't can't work.
Hmm.
So you could hypothetically have everything going on in the universe that is still going on in the universe, right? All the wars, all of the infighting, the prime minister of the universe, whatever, do his thing, and still end the series with Carl and Donut leaving the dungeon, right? So for whatever reason, whatever comes together, they negotiate that everybody's set free from their deals, all the NPCs are set free, there are no more crawls ever to happen again, whatever. And they leave the dungeon. And
But
that's how it
then
ends.
Carl and Donut are still just these weaklings who are in a universe that is so much bigger than them with people who desperately, desperately want to kill them. And yes, there are people that would want to help them out too, but there's a lot of people who want them dead.
A lot of those people are already dead.
A lot of them are, yeah.
Yeah. But
Not
like,
all of them.
let's say they negotiated Earth be returned to humans
Yeah.
and they're guaranteed the security that he asked for and whatever. Let's say the AI itself still gets to live and has control over Earth's solar system. It's just in defense of Earthlings, humans, and Carl. Or you don't even answer that question. Just Carl and Donut move off into the universe. They get a large settlement because they're the first crawlers ever to beat level 18 or whatever.
And this is
I'm just saying it's possible to end it in a satisfying way without them becoming, well, everything's the dungeon now, and nothing really has any meaning, and Carl no longer really matters because there's just everything going on.
fair enough. It's possible.
It's possible. That's my argument. It's just possible. I don't know what Matt Dinneman is gonna do.
Me either.
It does seem like he is expanding the control of the AI to at least impose a threat to the center system directly. What that
Mm-hmm.
means, we don't know, but that is happening. Whether or not he can turn everything into the dungeon or not, we'll see. I agree, it's kind of leaning towards that, kind of going in that direction. Could that be done well and I'm just being a negative Nancy pessimist about it? Yes. If I had my voodoo magic, whatever, and I could pick how things go right now,
Hmm?
I would be satisfied knowing there is never going to be a crawl again. Earth is back to its own control and they get to decide their own future. And Donut lives.
Okay.
If the series ends with Carl dying
You'd be fine.
and I still got this other stuff, I'd be like, great. Love this series. It's great.
Okay.
I think having a moment with Carl where he's like ran through with a sword and he's dying and he knows he's gonna die, so he delivers one last message to Donut would be a great way to end the series.
I'd be okay with that. I do think that they're doing something with the center system. And this is even more reason why I kind of think that's where they're going to go. Because I think that analogy for the tree thing, the whole tree thing, the bottom level, the top level Scolopendra is just a stand-in for the center system. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
We'll see. You'll find out before I do.
I'll keep
I
going. I don't.
I
I mean,
I hope it
he's
ends good. I mean, I'm honestly not super convinced that the ending to this series is gonna live up to everything that this series has already been. Um, as long as he doesn't absolutely like ruin the rest of his series with what he ends it with. I'm talking to you, The Last Jedi. Um, it'll still be a good series.
I think it's going to be good. He's had a plan for the ending since book 4.
So did Lost.
Did Lost have a plan that long for what the ending was going to be?
I think that it changed and changed back like 24 times, but yeah, they had an
Wow,
idea of their actual answer.
I didn't know that. Ugh, that's rough. That's
I,
bad.
I feel like it's very well established that authors and storytellers who spend so much time building and building and building
Can't
always
end it
fail,
with a
always do it. They always screw up the ending. It's always not really satisfying. They either like the boss fight wasn't big enough, or it felt cheap, or it wasn't really satisfied, or they left a lot of loose ends. Right? I just feel like that's probably what's going to happen here.
It's pretty common. Well, we still
It's
have 3
really
more
common.
books to figure that out.
We'll find out. I'm still loving it, still enjoyed, very excited for book 8. Don't know when it's coming out, probably a year from now, but
Probably.
we'll see when it
I'm
gets here.
excited. He says he's going to change things up a little bit with this book because he's finally getting to the point where there are characters that are just overpowered. So he's shifting the way he's writing this one a little, which I'm interested in. We'll see.
We will. Hopefully, it's good.
Will you be as? Did this one lower how pumped you are for the next book compared to this book?
As of right now, yes. However, I don't think that that would be my emotion when I re-listen to this book.
Okay,
I
but just a
suspect that
little.
with this book, along with all the other books, when I listened to them a second or third time, I started to pick on up on more details and more things than I did originally.
Cool, cool. All right, sweet. Well, guys, anybody that watched, I still really like this book. I still think it's a great book. I'm still very excited for the series.
I
Um,
agree.
if you guys have read it, tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about the adaptation that just got we just found out about. I'm super excited for that. I think it's
What?
going to be awesome. Did you hear about this?
No.
Adaptation has been officially greenlit.
What?
It is coming.
What adaptation?
Of
What
Dungeon
are
Crawl
you talking
Carl.
about?
They're making a TV show. It is
Okay,
like
thank you. That is the
officially.
information I was asking for.
Okay, okay,
It's
yeah.
going to be a TV show. Okay,
It's
great.
going to be a TV show.
Animated, live action.
We
Do we have
don't.
any
It's
details at all?
suspected to be live action, but they don't know. We don't know
Or
for sure. I was
animation
hoping
is
animated.
definitely the way to go.
Absolutely, like 100%. Animated would be better, but they're assuming live action, and he's creating another mini book series based on the same events, but from somebody else's point of view. I hope it's for Patente, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, we'll see. Well,
Anyway, I'm
whoever's
so pumped.
creating the show, don't finish it until Matt Dinneman does. Uh,
Yes,
while I
yes.
have not watched Game of Thrones because I'm not going to ever, uh, we all know what happened there. Learn from them. Be a wise man. Learn from somebody else's mistake. And just wait
Yes.
for the actual writer to write it.
The writer of the universe knows the story better than you do.
Yep.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I hope it's good. I'm pumped for the future. I hope it keeps. I hope it just after this one, which was a little bit of a drop, that it goes back up. That's my hope. But I'm very excited for the next book, but I won't ever be as pumped as I was for this one. I don't see that happening.
We will see. Because there's also the 12th floor, and there's
I
the 15th floor, and the 18th floor.
I
And
think the
if they get
12th floor.
to those, I don't know. 12
I,
has definitely been built up just as much as 9 has.
It has, but I don't think even if this book was as great as I was hoping, I was so unbelievably pumped for this one. I don't think I would have been as pumped for 12. But it's possible, but I don't think so. I
We'll
was
see.
like out of my mind pumped for this one. I think the 12th floor is going to be the last floor, but we'll see.
I have no idea. I have no prediction on what's going to be the last floor because you have 8 floors left, hypothetically,
Yeah.
and 3 books.
Mhm.
Right? Because he's
I
doing 11.
Yeah, that's what he said he's doing. I They might get into the other floors, but I think 12 is going to be like the last floor that's a main staple floor. And at some point I also think he's going to go into
Well,
the
yeah.
play.
After 12, they're going to be basically gods.
Yeah, and I think there's a theory going around that nobody's ever really gotten past 12, so they've never really done the hard work for getting after 12. So after that it's kind of it's weaker and the story's not as put together and
Well, we
everything,
already
which
know that.
I kind of think makes sense. Um, I think he's going to get to 12, and I also think he's going to go into the never. What is it called? Where those where those gods come from? The underworld area.
There is no more underworld area.
I mean, it's merged with our
No,
reality, but there's still a place.
no, there's not.
Is it completely gone?
Yeah, it's part of the legendary trap. It's the underworld was broken,
Yeah, but I thought there
There
still was
is
an
nothing
underworld
there
even though it's
anymore.
merged. Oh, it's just
No.
completely merged now? Okay.
Everything was cast out and it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then in that case, we're gonna see what's her name again, and she's gonna be out in on floor 10, 11, 12, one of those two. One of those. I don't know
Yep.
where, but that'll be interesting.
It will be. I'm
Signet
interested
will be back.
into what this vehicle thing is that's coming up and how that's
That
gonna
is
work.
interesting.
I'm interested on Katya, if we get any more of Katya, or if we're just gonna get like a synopsis at the end of the series of what Katya was up to. I'm interested in what is happening with Mongo's babies and what that means for everything else going on. I feel like it's kind of important somehow. Um, yeah, I'm really excited to see where everything goes. I
Me
just feel like
too.
this book itself was the weak one in the series, but
I'm
I think
interested
it's
in
gonna
where it
keep
goes too.
getting good and stay good. So
I'm interested in Mordecai, and he was basically at the point where he'd given up. Like everything didn't end. Is he still at the point where he gives up, or does he have hope again? How does that change things? I'm
I feel
interested
like they
in.
established in this book he's got more hope.
I felt like he was giving up at the end of the book and figured everyone was going to die. Like he just seemed like everyone was dead. It's
Oh,
over. Game
I
done.
feel like he was very hyped about seeing a lot of the other crawlers again and was more involved. And he was super pumped about getting his crafting table and doing all this stuff and being super involved in everything that's going on.
I felt like that until the part with what is her name with the Rottweilers,
The CMR.
Lucia Mar, and he's like, you can just see it on his face that he thinks everybody's gonna die. I didn't think Carl says that. Like up to that point, I agreed with you, but it seemed like at the end he fully thought that everything was just over and done. And how does that shift your perspective when it's not actually over and done? I feel like that's a large aspect of this book in particular is everybody has these moments of giving up or being absolutely destroyed, and what happens when you have to keep going and those responsibilities are still there, but the hope is still there too, and the hope is maybe a little bit brighter even though there's so much nasty shit that you have to walk through to get through that hope kind of an aspect.
We're going to see. I
Yeah,
think he's even more pumped to keep going. I think he's gone from trying to progress his deal to
trying to keep
more
them
on
alive.
Carl's side and trying to fight back.
Yeah, I think so too. And the idea that his studios will upgrade again and he'll be able to create another one of those potions that Carl took. Very interested in where that goes. The fact that he can analyze all of these potions and herbs and create some crazy awesome shit. I'm very excited for that. Like there's a lot. There's a lot I'm excited for. A lot.
Yeah,
But
it's
we'll keep
definitely
going.
interesting. I'm excited.
We'll keep going.
That's all there is to
Well,
say at this
guys,
point.
that is our episode. If you've read the book, we'd be interested. If you watch Cobra Kai, we'd be interested in your thoughts. If you've watched Severance, if you're up to date on that, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Anything at all. We appreciate
And if
guys
you
watching.
haven't read or watched any of these things, we recommend all of them.
All of them are great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which Dungeon Crawler book is your favorite? Which Cobra Kai season is the best? It's probably season 2 because that's the best. And is Severance season 2 living up to your expectations? Are you disappointed? All that kind of good stuff. Cool. See you guys.